All right. Good to have you guys back. This is Grace Family Love Podcast with episode number 3. And we are excited to be here again with you guys. We hope that you're having a good week. And what do we have to look forward to this time?
So we're just checking in with you guys. We released the episode on Monday about strongholds. It was rough.
It was deep.
It was deep. It was deep. And, that subject's not very, I don't know, what can you say? Like, it's not, people don't talk about it.
You know what? Unfortunately, it's one of those, everybody knows it exists, but it's easier to just kind of turn a blind eye.
Yeah.
To just sweep it under the rug.
Yeah. So we asked you guys, where were you guys in your life, and are you happy with your life? And if you're not, is there things that are keeping you to be where you want to be? And if there is it a stronghold? And if it is a stronghold, how did it get there? And when you figure out how it got there and what it is, why do you want it out of your life? What is it causing in your life? Joe gave the example of, I'll let him just talk a little bit about it because it was his testimony.
Yeah. So, if you haven't seen it, please go watch it. It was a time just to be vulnerable for a second. But my hope was that I was able to resonate with somebody, to know that even though you don't know me, by just seeing us for the first time, you might think, oh, what do they possibly know about where I'm at in life?
Yeah.
So I shared about a stronghold having to deal and be exposed to pornography and how that kind of impacted my life and just for how long it was there. And so one of the things that I mentioned is it's healthy to understand where you came from and what you've been through, because if you really want to make a change and do things differently, you have to understand that. You can't make the correct steps moving forward to change if you don't understand where you came from and how you got there and what makes you today.
Yeah. I think the perfect example, and I tell you guys I'm so visual, it's like if you plant like a little plant and you just yank the top off, the seed's still there. So when you don't really focus on how it got there, the seed will stay there. And eventually it'll just start growing again.
Yeah, like if it's deeply rooted, it doesn't take much for it to come back. So the goal is to understand, like she said, how it got there, so you can get to the root of the problem and really make a change that's impactful, but also long lasting, not just, I feel better today and then do the same things tomorrow.
Yeah. So we just wanted to check in with you guys, because if you didn't, dig deep and find out where it was at, or if you did, we just kind of wanted to check in and encourage you guys. And we were talking about it earlier, and the best example to give you guys, because we got a few messages. One of the messages, somebody was saying I want to be this type of mom, and I feel like I'm struggling, or this stuff is in my way. And I just kind of it almost seemed like her heart was heavy. And I just want to encourage you, if you're listening, or for any other person that's listening and that feels the same way, that the strongholds that you have, you've lived with them for a long time, for a very, very, very long time. And when you're done and the stronghold is completely gone, or you don't feel like it's heavy in your life anymore, it's done with. But the whole process, you want to get through the whole process, and it's a journey, and it's not a bad thing. You're going to be learning as you go, and you're going to be experiencing as you go, but that's the part of life, and that's the part you don't want to miss out. Joe, and with whatever he was struggling with in the beginning, now where we're at now, I think that our relationship is a lot better because of where he's at, and our intimacy is a lot better because of where he's at. And I don't think that I would have wanted to cut out anything in between, because it allowed me to be there for him and allowed me to just, just get to know him in a different level, the vulnerable side of him.
Well, I appreciate that. It definitely definitely took some time to get there. And I in my personal experience, it's really weird because I don't know if you've ever had maybe a toxic friend, and they're really fun to hang out with. They're super exciting. You know, they're the ones that are usually the life of the party. But you know that it's like not a really healthy relationship for you to have. And so it's kind of like almost like a bad breakup with a really exciting friend. And I say it like that because if you've ever gone through that and lost a friend, you feel the loss.
Yeah.
You feel like something's missing or someone is missing. And so what I experienced is that getting rid of this stronghold, it had been with me for so long that it was almost like I had an emptiness or a void to be filled in my life. And it was really strange. You know, I'm not saying I want that back. What I'm saying is that if you have to be careful too, that this process, like we were saying in the previous episode, that you have to renew your mind, and it has to be, you can't wipe your mind clean and be totally blank and then fill it with good things. It's this process of transferring information, of getting the old stuff out and putting new stuff in.
Yeah.
And so while you're going through this kind of this bad breakup with your stronghold, you need to find something positive
to replace it with.
Yeah, something to replace it with that's healthy, that's constructive, and that actually gets you closer to being the person that you want to be, and not a distraction or pulling you farther away, or don't replace one bad habit for another. You need to find somebody to help you along that journey, and maybe it's us. You know, we're here to go through it with you and share what we've been through and to help you along the way. Or maybe you have that mentor or disciple that in your church community that's willing to walk through it with you.
Yeah. So in order with him, you know, he had his issue and I had my issue, and you know, we didn't talk a little bit. We talked a little bit about it, but for me, it was just a lot of self-esteem issues. And it just had to deal with a lot of from just previous relationship, the way that they viewed me, the way that they just saw or thought of me was kind of just, it felt like I was always degrading. So because of that, I was very shy. I didn't feel good enough for anything. And by me just trying to like understand, like, okay, I don't want to be this way. I don't want to be this person that just always feels like I can't do it. I'm not good enough. Like, I want to get past that, but I didn't know how. So of course I figured that was my stronghold. You know, God just made it very, very clear, and I had to work through that. But along that, I had a husband that helped brainwash me to help me understand that literally that you can do this. You can do it. Come on, you can do this. Like, no, you're smart. No, you know, you're beautiful. No, this, no, that. Like, constantly, like, but I would have to share how I was feeling in order for him to say, like, nope. He was the one that just kind of filled that empty spot that I was trying to take out. So if you're this week, you're trying to find out what you have, but you're not replacing it with something good or with something positive, you're going to be struggling. So if you're having a hard time and you're like, I don't even know what to replace it with, I don't know, Vanessa, like, just what can we do? Like, you know, just reach out to us, message us. You know, if we have to message you and talk to you every single day, like, we'll do it. You know, that's what we're here for. But one of the things that really, really helped me is just to be able to have that support, you know, like from the people that knew what I was struggling with.
I think that I was able to help her because I was working on me. Being able to be a better version of myself with help helped me to be a better support for her. And so what's weird about that is generally people are like, well, I'm not going to change until you change. Yeah. You know, and so if we keep doing that, then no one's ever going to change and we're going to make no progress. Yeah. And that's the thing. We want progress, and any progress is still progress. Slow progress is still progress. And so me focusing the attention on myself instead of pointing the finger at her for her flaws really helped me grow.
Yeah.
Because I was actively involved in my growth, in becoming a better version of me. So while I was doing that, I didn't realize it at the time, but I was becoming a better version of me, which helped me support her better.
And what I needed.
Yeah. So overcoming my stronghold in that process helped me kind of be, the best version of me every day. Every day I just tried to be a little bit better. Every day I just tried to work a little bit harder at being positive, at putting positive thoughts in my mind and reading positive things. And so every day I was a little bit better than the day before. Some days were, emotionally I would struggle, but I was making progress. By me making progress and helping to support her, what I didn't realize until much later is that I was replacing the stronghold with a genuine, intimate relationship with my wife.
Yeah.
And so I was learning new things about her. I was discovering her in new ways and discovering things about her that I didn't know. And to be honest, things that I didn't care to know about people before. And so that was really just an eye opener. And because I was now learning about her in new ways, asking her questions, wanting to know what it is that makes her tick, on the inside, it actually opened up a version of her that I had never seen before, because I was showing genuine interest in her, not just physical interest, but who she was, what she cared about. And it helped me to care about the things that she cared about. And it was just and it got better in the same way that things can snowball for the negative. This was like snowballing for good.
Yeah.
And it was really nice to watch.
Yeah, and I don't want you to get discouraged and to think like, to hear him say those things and say like, oh my God, my husband would never say those things, or this would never happen for us. Like, my husband will always be this way. Cause we love that word. It's our favorite word.
Yeah.
He laughs because he's like, I hate that word.
Let me tell you why real quick. Sorry, I'm cutting you off, but this is why I don't think that that's right. Because when you say you always do that, you never do this. Really? Always?
100%.
Never? Like, you can't speak in absolutes like that, because it's not true. Give us some credit.
It's just our favorite word.
Yeah, we got married. We did something right at some point. Sorry.
I don't even remember what I was saying. What was I saying?
I'll share an example. If you're looking at us and thinking my husband will never get there.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So our first fight actually it's kind of embarrassing to think about now, but our first fight.
Like, wait a minute, what was our first fight? You remember our first fight?
Yeah, I remember our first fight.
What was our first fight?
So our first fight was, I was sitting on the couch, and my oldest son, Gavin, he was 6 at the time, and he was sitting next to me, and he's kind of, inching over, and it's not that I didn't notice, but it didn't draw my attention. I wasn't drawn to that, to want to know why. But she saw him, knowing that, he wanted to get close to me and for me to hug him or put my arm around him. Mom instincts kicking in. So she looks at me and she's giving me this look. And so I'm like,
why are you looking at me like that?
Yeah, I'm watching TV. Like, okay, I can feel your eyes burning a hole in the side of my head here. And she's like looking at me like, what? Like, how could you not understand what's happening right now? And so she goes, hug him. And when she said that, it just stirred something ugly in me. And
his face was red.
Yeah, and I just looked at her and I remember saying, like, you don't tell me what to do. And that was how it started our first fight. And so the sad part is that I was being so prideful in telling her, you don't tell me what to do, when she was asking me to hug my own son. And that's really hard to swallow right now, thinking about that. And, thankfully I've come a long way and I don't have that issue anymore, but I can't imagine being him at that moment and just wanting affection or love. Yeah. And I'm just too prideful. And so we fought about that. Like, how could you not want to hug your son? And I'm just like, you don't tell me what to do. Totally missing the point. Totally blinded by my hard-headedness. And so that's how I was, just coming out of the military too. It didn't really help much. But that's who I was. That was a big part of me, and actually another stronghold that I've had to overcome, and I'm still working on it in a lot of ways. But she, being the loving person that she is, brought out the best in me to help me be more expressive, to help me show affection, to help me be more loving. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for, just all the help that I've had throughout the years, the love of somebody that, she saw something in me that I didn't even see in myself. And so if you saw our last episode, her mom was telling her, like, run, like, stay away from this guy, and she saw something in me that was worth fighting for. So she stuck it out, and she might have a different opinion about how long it took for us to have a good marriage, but we made it, and so you're worth it. Your family's worth the effort.
Yeah. So just so that way you guys can know that it's not impossible to change, and it's not impossible to get there. And if you think about, like, oh my God, because, I make a joke and I tell him, like, it took like 7 years for us to even have like a decent marriage.
That's half of our marriage.
And he's just like, no, it's 7 years.
That's a long time.
But my point is that during those 7 years, there was good moments, there was good times, and
half of our marriage.
But the point is that there is change, and it's for the best. And if I would have given up just on any of those moments or of any of those years, like, I would not have the father that I have now for my kids. I would not have my husband, my best friend. Like, I wouldn't have that. We wouldn't be here talking to you right now
sure.
if we would have given
100%.
up. Could you have told me at that moment, like, Vanessa, you're crazy, just give up on him? Like, what are you doing there? Like, you probably would have told me that. But there was something there. And I knew if I just allow God to work in me, just me, myself, then I can help this guy get to where he needed to be by just loving on him and just showing him something different, and vice versa. Like, by him helping me and helping me find out who I was, like, myself, like, loving me and just showing me what it was to just have just a love of a man, like, because I never knew what that was. I didn't. Like, my dad was a drug addict. He was never there. Like, me growing up, my mom worked all the time. I was telling my dad a story not so long ago, that it was Thanksgiving Day. I was like a second grader, and everybody had made little mats for a Thanksgiving feast. And I went to town on that mat. I was like, man,
a masterpiece.
That's right. I did. And I did it for my dad. And I'm like, he likes these colors. Like, I drew him and I was so excited. And everybody sat down with their family, and I'm sitting there looking at the window. And the teacher's like, sweetheart, do you want to sit down? Do you want to eat? I'm like, no, I'm waiting for my dad. He's going to come. He's going to be here. And he never showed up. And I didn't leave that window. I stayed there. I waited till everybody finished eating, and that was my whole life. It was me sitting at that window waiting for my dad to show up, and he wouldn't. So now if you see me with my dad on Instagram, or, you're like, man, you guys have a good relationship. We do. He calls me. We love each other. Like, but in order for him to get over his strongholds and his addiction, guess what? I also had to get over my stuff to be able to be a help and support for him. And so we can be where we're at now. So it goes in a cycle. Everybody helps each other, but we got to get to that point, and we need to want to just be better. We do.
I encourage you guys to, it's one thing to talk about it. I hope that you're listening to us wherever, on the road, at home, whatever it is that you're doing. I hope that you're paying attention and think, man, that's great. Yes, I understand. That's me right there, or that resonates. But I also hope it goes a step further. Do that personal inventory.
Yeah.
Check yourself and figure out where you are. Because I'll tell you what's not going to happen is you're not going to change your spouse.
No.
If that's your goal, then you are going to beat yourself into exhaustion.
And please don't send this to your spouse and be like, you need to listen to this because you need to change. You got some strongholds.
Yeah. So that's not going to happen. But what is powerful, because, the Holy Spirit's really the only one that can change the heart of a person. You're not going to change a person. But what happens is when you make the personal effort to make a change, and you are reforming the way you think, right? And reforming the way that you process information and just do life, okay? Being more positive, being more upbeat, and making a conscious effort to build up with your words instead of tear down. That is going to affect everyone around you, your children, your spouse, your coworkers, your family. And when that happens, love changes things. Love changes environments. And that love that you have for even yourself will change things, turn things around, and allow other people to be free to love you better, to love themselves better. You'll be more uplifting. Being more positive helps other people be more positive, and you're going to reap what you sow. Yeah. You're more positive, and it's going to bring others and inspire others to want to be more positive. And before you know it, your kids are going to notice, your kids are going to change, your kids are going to get involved. It's going to be a really beautiful thing. So I hope that you're putting in the work and putting in the effort. Yeah.
So we're going to be checking in. We're going to be putting out the podcasts on Mondays, whatever the theme is. So that way, you know, we can do like inventory. I don't know, what do you want to call it? Live coaching, whatever you want to call it. It's just for us to help you kind of just be that friend, that positive friend to influence, you know, that you can have the other friends that influence to do bad things, and then you got us.
That's right.
You know, so we're going to be pushing you on Thursdays. We're going to be checking in. So if you missed it and you're just like, I only have time for 25 minutes, then hear this one. But we love you guys. We're thinking about you guys, and we're here for you guys.
All right. So what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Email us through Grace Family Love. Remember, it's one word, but love is spelled LUV. You can DM us on Instagram or Facebook on our Facebook page. Share this message if it helped you in any way, just to be able to encourage somebody else.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys.
And just give us your feedback. You know, if there was any part of it that you're like, okay, you know what, that's me, I needed to hear that, let us know, because all it does is just continues to help us to know like we're on the right path, and, you know, that we're doing what God is calling us to do, and He's listening to you.
All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for hanging out with us. We'll see you next time.
Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.